So my project topic for my senior exit paper was gun safety in relation to gun control in the United States. Now, North Carolina's gun rate, homicide rate actually, due to guns is 12.9%, which is not the highest. Louisiana has the highest with a 33.9% homicide rate due to violence. Now, I believe that to be, I don't mean to sound mean or anything, but I believe it partially be the government's fault because of their gun control laws that they have inflicted. Like the most recent one being the assault weapons ban. And my opinion is if more people had guns, there'd be less crime. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because I believe if you have more guns that can be bought legally, then you want to have even more guns obtained illegally. And the guns that are obtained legally, most people use them for recreational purposes or for self-defense. So put yourself in the position of a person at a convenience center without a gun, and you get robbed by somebody with a gun. You're not going to have nothing back here, nothing. They're just going to get you, and they could possibly injure you in the process. So imagine now, switch that over and pretend you're a guy that you're in there, you're buying your business, you're buying whatever you're buying, and you have a handgun on you that you legally purchased and are allowed to carry. Same guy comes in, tries to rob it. This time, you have an option as to whether you can get back, fight back if they turn on you, or you can go outside, or you can just remove the threat altogether immediately, not have to worry about it. You have an option. Without a gun, since there are so many laws nowadays, it's ridiculous to get one. You would have basically that whole option as to go out, get one legally, have protection, have an option to fight back in certain situations. But as of right now, I'm going to go over kind of the safety aspects of a firearm, like as my demonstration here. Most of y'all know what this is. It's a shotgun. Y'all know what a shotgun is. Basically, it's a gun that has a projectile that's full of tiny lead pellets and it shoots out and they call it shot. In essence, the term shotgun. Basically, break down the parts of it real quick. You have butt stop, and then you got the comb. Is this top piece right here? That's when you're like, when you go side and down. When you bring it up, you put your cheek down. That's the comb of it. It's kind of like you comb your hair. Take hair to the comb, head. All makes sense. You got the grip right here, where your hand goes. You got this piece right here, called the trigger guard. And you got the trigger. And this whole piece right here, this whole one solid piece, is the action. That's where the bullet goes. It's where the firing pin inside of it strikes it, makes it shoot. This is the barrel right here, which is where the shot comes out. This is the muzzle, where it will actually exit the gun. And this is your forearm grip. And on this particular one, it is also the method of reloading, called a pump, like that. It's like that. And of course, you have the safety right here. And with the safety, I don't tend to think that this is the best safety ever. I tend to think that your mind and your finger are the two safeties you have, because any safety on a gun is a mechanical safety, and mechanical stuff always fails. So, I keep that in mind. Finger, off the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Like, right now, I don't have it in a safe direction. Like, I'm pointing over here at Joe over here. Safe direction in this room would be up. If you're at a shooting range, it could be down range. It could also be up where it could be in the ground, depending on what kind of surface you're on. You're not going to point it down on a concrete surface. And then another safety you can also enact is keep it unloaded until you're actually ready to use it. And that's just to make sure and prevent any accidental firing of the firing pin into the primer, and it's going to go off without you actually are the one making it into that action. So that's guns. Guns do kill people. Sorry enough. I hate to see somebody die due to a gun, and if there was a law in place that would allow us to buy guns legally, then I think that would go away. Honestly. Like, highest, like I said earlier, highest rate is Louisiana. I can understand why. They're one of the, Louisiana, Florida, and California are the three biggest, have the three largest homicide rates. And that's my opinion, because those are the three strictest states with the gun laws. California, you have to go through so much, Louisiana so much, and Miami and Florida. Though Miami is actually the strictest city in the world with guns. But other than that, that's about it. The lowest ones, Minnesota, Hawaii, Rhode Island, those are the top three that have the lowest homicide rates of a 5.1, a 3.2, and a 2.1. That's their homicide rates due to guns. So, imagine yourself. What would you do if you were in a situation where if you had a gun, you had an option? Anybody have any questions?
Can I ask a question that's kind of like an argument?
Yeah.
Would you think that with stricter gun laws, it would make it harder to shoot those guns that have those firearms?
Yes, it would make it harder to obtain those, but it also would open that trade, that black market trade that brings more in, and the people usually that are on the black market are more the more lethal people that want to go out there and actually do the harm. So if you get them legally to the hands of the civilians that actually need one for protection and can use one, then I think that would be kind of going into opening it up, then some protection, and then kind of knock down on that trade as well. Yes.
So what should we do to forward this decrease in gun restrictions?
First and foremost, the top organization right now that deals with guns is the NRA, National Rifle Association. They're the ones that advocate for gun laws, the ones that advocate for less gun laws. They're the ones that advocate for more gun usage in homes. You need to go probably to one of them, or you can do it yourself. Have a petition. Go to one of them and ask them to create a bill, because they're real big in Congress right now. Have them sign a bill and just decreasing the amount of laws that are actually in effect for them, and you can go through Congress and eliminate some of these gun laws. Yes.
With it being easier to buy a gun, wouldn't in a way that be worse since a lot more people could have guns?
On that topic, yes and no. It would open it up for civilians to get guns, and it also open it up to criminals to buy guns as well. But the way modern day is, you have to go through a safety background check, which I would, if we lessen the gun restrictions, that would still stay in. That way you have to have a full background check, everything, felonies, misdemeanors, all that, before you can actually purchase one. And if you open it up, a lot of civilians are on the right track. They don't have no felonies, no misdemeanors, no underage restrictions, no underage, nothing like that. So most people will be fine, and most people will get it for self-defense itself, which would make it okay.
If we did make it easier to purchase guns, would you say that maybe some type of gun safety class would be required?
Yes. Right now, it is, before you get a gun carrying license, you have to go take a gun safety course. And if you're going for a hunting license, you have to take an additional hunter safety course for those as well. And that's great because it teaches you the fundamentals of what to do. And most classes will go and do an extra step that allows you to get into it and do kind of a tactical thing where if you were in this situation, what can I do for this and that? You gotta be in that situation. So yes, I would say you would have to have some kind of class before you take it. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Like, do you think that the fact that if it would be legal to like purchase a gun easier, like do you think the fact that you could be connected to the gun would like make the crime rate go down because you'd be more connected to the gun if they found it, or that reason to believe that?
Personally, I believe that'd be a great idea. The only problem with that is if something were to, like, if what you're talking about is operated by a DNA fingerprinting, which is also operated by a battery, which is, in essence, can fail itself. So if you were to keep it, like I said, take a gun, like he asked earlier, if you took a gun class, you take a gun class, train your mind, train your finger that you don't, your fingers basically your safety on the gun itself, where your fingers all the trigger till you're ready to actually send that bullet or that shot down range. It's a great concept. It allows you yourself to place yourself in a position at a gun where nobody else can do it. But it can malfunction, as with everything it can.
I think what he meant by connected to the gun is by like a registration of some sort. Like,
Yeah.
If you're like, you have to get a gun registered into your name, things like that.
How it makes it, like, if it made it easier, how could it?
Like, well, I think what he means is, wouldn't it decrease the crime rate if they knew that they're registered into the system for a gun, like, say a gun model number is registered to your name.
Yeah, I would say as they do it now, they have them registered. That's the only thing I think I would make more strict in it, make a more in-depth registration process. That way you would know who's the owner. You would also need to mark all the ammunition you bought for, that way you can get a fair account of how much you have and how much you spent. The only other thing I would add is you need to, when you go to a range, log in your time at the range with your gun and your gun only. You don't borrow nobody else's gun. It is your gun. You don't touch it. Any other questions? Yes. I believe there should be an age limit. Because as a youth, your mind is not fully developed as well as it is when you're kind of into your adulthood, and more youth are prone to acts of violence if they have a lethal weapon. And the biggest thing nowadays is video games, violence in video games. If you're watching a video game and you see somebody get to their head, go out and shoot somebody, they don't get in trouble for it, that will probably lead you to, and you have a gun yourself, you should go out and try it. And that will, in essence, increase the crime rates instead of decreasing. Yes,
So what do you think the age limit should be,
Um,
on your opinion?
Right now the age is 18 before you can get a license. I would personally put it at 21 to give your mind more time to develop, and that we're further along in the maturation process. So you can think about these things more logically and whether in essence it's right or wrong.
Do you think there should be a certain amount of guns they can purchase?
I say yes and no to that question. Yes, because it limits the amount of chances that, say, a person who wanted to actually go to rob a store would have to get somebody's gun. But on the other hand, I would say it's good to have more. That way you can have multiple options in certain situations. Like if you go hunting, you have probably a rifle and a shotgun or a bow, like those three. And for your personal defense, you could have maybe a pistol or maybe a ballistic knife or something like that. I'll say yes, none of that. No, because it would allow them to gain more. But yes, because it gives you that multiple options for the multiple things you intend to do with those.
So, like, what you're saying to that is just depending on what that gun is to be used for.
Yes, basically what that gun is to be used for determines on what, how many you will purchase and how many you will use. Yes.
Do you believe that there should be a higher age limit towards higher firepower?
Personally, I say no to that, because some avid hunters are my age, they're 17, and they're going out there with underpowered rifles, and they're hunting after big game, like elephant and stuff, if they don't have the firepower for it. So I would say you know that you need, you should not be an age until you turn that 21 age limit that I was talking about earlier. You could buy a higher power rifle as you would need for a certain situation to put it in. Any other questions? I want to thank y'all again for letting me do this. I know y'all take y'all's time out to listen to me. I greatly appreciate it. As I said, to.